presentation to absolutely nothing, except you listening to me talking. We actually did start on the same sort of line of looking at the model and the matrix, and we actually began to talk about things like, it feels very it's feelings, it feels a very strategic analytical type of document, an analytical framework. So then we began to ask questions about, like, okay, if it is a sort of analytical framework at the different levels with all the different elements, who's making the judgments? Who's filling it in? Who's taking responsibility and ownership for this tool? And is there a real possibility that one tool will fit all sorts of situations? Which led us into thinking about, well, hang on a minute, should we be looking at different types of matrices so that people can contribute to the analytical, but would suit different situations, different practitioners, managers, institutions, and at policy level? When we started looking at some of the terminology, it got very bitty, and I know that people have already discussed the matrix in previous and maybe talked around some of the terminology. But some of the things that we felt we wanted to just revisit was the word sustainability, which has connotations of green issues, and whether we should be looking at viability of various practices. We also were querying whether tools was the right word, because having a separate dimension for tools seems to, we're always saying we shouldn't come from the technology, we should come from the practice. But actually we're encouraging people to look at practice and the infrastructure and tools separately, and not to see it as part and parcel of what people are doing. The other thing that we also said, we mentioned the same thing as the previous group about context and the flexibility, and we mentioned the possibility in the guidelines of maybe having some scenarios of how you might fill in and make use of the different models and tools that we're going to develop. And finally, I think, the question of, I thought the whole point of this project was to look at quality, how we might improve our practice. So where does this all fit into quality improvement processes that already exist? So are we going to make any connections with existing quality improvement and assurance processes? So leave that question out.